in hellfire. So how much more when you bring a person to Islam and save him from the slavery of disbelief and take him to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's the intention. This is the thing that can take me to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and save me. And when you really have that intention, your da'wah will be different. Again, as I said, the other intentions are important, but this should be the primary. The second thing that you automatically think to yourself, what is it that I need if I want to make da'wah? Is that you need knowledge. You need ilm. Right? As a da'iyah, as a caller to Islam, you're a teacher. Right? And as a teacher, right, if you had teachers, especially think of your favorite teachers. Now you can have a lot of nice stories, and you can be very funny, right? And very attractive. You can be very charismatic. But if there's no substance to what you say, then what? You still will remain funny and charismatic, but you're not telling people anything. Just stories. So you need that knowledge so that when a person asks you a difficult question, and not all questions can be rehearsed. Oh, violence in Islam, we're going to come to that inshallah. Violence in Islam, women in Islam, you can just memorize. But not all questions actually can be rehearsed. So when they ask you a question, how would you answer it? Right? So you need knowledge. And knowledge not only for understanding how to answer questions, but understanding priorities. What do you begin with? What is important and what is not? So as the brother mentioned, right, a Muslim who just accepts Islam, the act of calling him a non-believer because of these sins that he might actually be still committing, he may not even know that they are sins. But calling him a non-Muslim because of these sins that he or she may still be committing is an act of ignorance. Because if a person knows and really knows where the truth is, you'll understand priorities. What do you start when you want to call a person to Islam? What do you start with? Where do you take them? How do you take them to the core of Islam? And I want to talk about that inshallah soon. How do you take them to the core of Islam? How do you answer the real, pressing questions that they have? You won't be able to do that without knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And understanding how to proceed, how you go from first step to the next step to the third step. How do you react? How can I have patience if I didn't learn about patience? How can I have hope if I didn't learn about hope from the Quran and the Sunnah? So without knowledge, we're lost. So you must have that knowledge. And with knowledge also, something very important too, which is what? Tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You must have tawakkul on Allah. And each one of these, in fact, can be a sort of a small session where you just talk about intention by itself, talking about how to perform da'wah, but also tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not your effort. You have to believe that. You have to enhance and develop, right, the way that you present Islam, perfect it to the best that you can. But beyond that, there's a ceiling. And that ceiling is إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ. You do not guide the people that you love. What was this in reference to? The Prophet ﷺ not being able to guide who? Abu Talib, his uncle. And this is a person who was defending Islam. So you may look at a person, he could be your friend, he could be a family member, it could be a neighbor, right? Someone very dear to you. And you try and you try and you try. And still, they're not guided. The son of Nuh alayhi salam, not guided. The wife of Lut alayhi salam, not guided. So إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي. But it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who guides. So there are two types of hidayahs. You have to take care of one, the other one you leave it for Allah. The first type of hidayah is the hidayah of knowledge. I will guide you to knowledge. I'll bring it to you in the best way that I can. That's what I will try to do. But beyond that, I can't change your heart. I can't open your heart to the truth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who does that. So you must rely on Allah. And rely on Allah to face the obstacles in da'wah. That's why when we want to understand da'wah is not always fun. Da'wah is not always brothers and sisters getting together. Da'wah is not always someone coming, to the podium and saying the shahada, right? This is just the glamorous side of da'wah. When you go inside, da'wah is people talking bad about you behind your back. Da'wah is people confronting you with what you hate. Da'wah is people challenging you and challenging your faith and challenging your beliefs. And sometimes if you're not confident, right, causing doubt in your mind, causing doubt in your heart. Da'wah is sometimes frustration. Da'wah is sometimes sadness. Why is it that I can't help these people? Why is it that my efforts are not fruitful? You know, the Prophet ﷺ, who is the best da'iyah, was sad. Sad to the extent that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, always remember this, right, when you get sad too. Sad to the extent that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had to calm him and say to him, right, that you're going to destroy yourself if you continue doing this. You're going to kill yourself. You know, this is how eager he was, alayhi salatu wassalam, that I want them to be guided. When you want something so bad, and it's not happening, you want it so bad, but it's not happening. And I can't do anything beyond what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enabled me to do. So it is then that you have to leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have tawakkul on Him. Ya Allah, I did what I can. Help me to continue doing the best that I can. But I know that there's a limit. And then when you're sad, or when you're angry, to know how to go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and release all of that anger, all of that frustration, and give it to Him. Right? Not to explode in the face of a person who is challenging you, because you still want to guide them to Islam. Right? Not to become irritated and very cynical and lose hope. No. But to go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and if you consider that this is like negative energy, this is negative energy. You want to touch something, you want to be in contact with something that can bring the balance back to your life. And that's why, some of the ulama, have said that one of the reasons behind Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala making Qiyamul Layl, night prayer, an obligation on all Muslims in the first year of the da'wah, right? The first year of Islam, is because of this. Because when you take a minority, and maybe some of you can relate to this, take a minority and you put them under a lot of pressure, and you tell them you can't fight back and you have to be patient. How do you want me to be patient? Right? How do you haven't yet cultivated, developed this patience? How can I let go of this anger? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it an obligation on them that you should pray at night. Everybody, not only the Prophet, but also all the people. Why? Because it is then that you'll be able to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and calm your fears and calm your anger and bring balance to your heart. So the da'iyah especially has to do that. Okay? The da'iyah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you choose, okay, I'm going to be on this path. It's a conscious choice. You don't have to do it. It's a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you'd be involved in it. Because you may say, I want to, and the doors may not open. But you say, I want to, and you pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this happens. Now, if you want to say, okay, I want to walk this path, know that you'll be challenged. Know that you'll receive frustrations. This is not to scare you. Life. There's challenge in anything that you want to do. That is, if it's valuable, there's challenge in it. So what you want to do is, okay, I'm going to start on this path, and a necessary component of it is that I become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I move closer to Him. I engage in more ibadah. You have to. It's a must. Otherwise you'll break. I'm telling you from now, otherwise you'll break. You'll break down. Okay? You'll stop. So your ibadah is very important, and you have to take care of it. And that's a neglected act or a neglected fact of being a da'iyah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm not just calling other people. I have to also work on myself too. Right? Patience, hope, and dua, we touched on that a little bit, right? And we have to remind ourselves and relearn how to be patient. وَاصْبِرْ وَمَا صَبْرُكَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ وَلَقَدْ نَعْلَمُ أَنَّكَ يَضِيقُ صَدْرُكَ مِمَّا يَقُولُونَ فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَكُنْ مِنَ السَّاجِدِينَ وَاعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينُ. Right? We know that your heart tightens. He's speaking to the Prophet ﷺ. We know that you experience discomfort inside because of what they're saying to you. Okay? But then what happens? What should you do as a response? فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَكُن مِّنَ السَّاجِدِينَ. You want to respond to all of this? Glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, engage in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and prostrate to Him. Stand alone with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and engage in sujood and ask Him to help you. And then Allah will take that burden away from you. You try to carry it all by your own, you will collapse, and I will collapse, and all of us will. So patience, again, hope. Never lose hope. As long as this person, this society, that community, they're still alive, never lose hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide them. And I know for myself, and I know from others, that it is easy to give up on people. I talk to them so many times, but they're not listening. You know, I advise them so many times, they're not listening. You know when it's easy to give up on people? When we don't care about them. As you think about it, right? If it's a person that you've just met, you've talked to them about Islam, yeah, the rest is up to them. Whatever. That's an attitude from a person that you, or of a person, or about a person that you don't care that much about. You don't know them yet. But if this person is your son, your daughter, brother, sister, father, mother, you'll never give up. Right? They'll keep giving da'wah, giving da'wah, giving da'wah, giving da'wah. And that's how the Prophet ﷺ was. That's the level of his concern. It's not, I just gave them da'wah, whatever. Now they know the truth, it's up to them. He kept giving them da'wah over and over and over, always hoping that they will change. And so were the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Up until a time when Allah told them no one else will accept Islam. That's it. But before they told them that, did they stop? They didn't. And Nuh alayhi salam, how many years did he give da'wah? How many?
950.
Yeah, 950 years. Right? 950 years throughout being insulted, right? Being threatened, being thrown to the ground. It says, in the books of tafsir, right? They would, throw him to the ground, step on him. Allahu a'lam. And still, he would still give da'wah, he would still give da'wah, until when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, nobody else is going to accept Islam, now build your ship. So if Allah doesn't tell you that, you keep giving da'wah, and hoping, and making dua for them, and that's important. Now, brother touched on this point that I want to mention, institutional da'wah versus individual da'wah. And there's a place for both. But institutional da'wah is more lasting. You understand what I'm saying about institutional da'wah, meaning you're building something. You're building a structure, or you're becoming part of a structure, versus just doing something on your own. And there is merit to both of them. But institutional da'wah lasts longer. Lasts longer. You can bequeath that, you can give it to the next generation. You can produce more with it. You can attract more people with it. You can organize greater events because of it. That's institutional da'wah. And if possible, that's what you want to focus on. Whether you want to build it or you become part of it. Whatever it is. So there is this institutional da'wah. But at the same time, there is room for individual da'wah. And that gives you some space for thinking and moving and of being creative. A lot of the times, or sometimes, you don't need a big organization, subhanAllah. If Allah gives tawfiq and success. I know of a person, I read about him, who was in India. Right? He was Hindu, he accepted Islam in a village. He didn't go to an Islamic university here and there and there. He didn't. He has some understanding of Islam, he has some books, but he does what? He starts preaching and sharing this message with the people in the village. They accept Islam, right? Then people from the next village, then people from the next village, then people from the next village. Then people start coming over to him and learning from a lot of villages around. And they say it's thousands of people, Allahu A'lam, thousands of people accepted Islam because of him. That's individual, right? Yes, he had to take some pamphlets from here and books from there, but it's his own individual effort, and it's possible. If Allah gives you that success, it can happen. Right? There is another, but that's an example of an organizational or institutional da'wah. There's a da'iyah from Kuwait. And they say, Allahu A'lam, he's Abdul Rahman Ismail. He concentrated on da'wah in Africa. I don't know if you know about him or not. that what they've called it the forgotten continent. And he tells stories, right? We're going into deep into Africa, places that no other Muslims have gone, we think. And he goes with medicine, he goes with food, he goes with books and knowledge and what have you. And he goes and he talks to them. And then the entire tribe accepts Islam. Because if the chief accepts Islam, the whole tribe accepts Islam. And he goes to another tribe. And he discovers that, subhanAllah, they have a lot of words and vocabulary that is borrowed from Arabic. Practices, right, that mirror something like the salah and fasting and what have you. So he says, when he asks them, he says, our forefathers used to do these things, so we inherited that from them. So they were Muslims before. So he discovers them, right? No one has had access to them. He gives them this message. And they become Muslims. So that's a type of institutional da'wah. And they say, and Allah knows best, millions of people became Muslims as a result of that effort.
Sheikh, he died last year, right?
Naam, recently.
Yeah.
Naam, recently, right? And he, subhanAllah, was diabetic, right? And he had diseases, right? And he left comfortable life. But he had a comfortable life, right? Because if you live in a country, for instance, like Kuwait, you can eat the best food, have the best drinks, mashallah, living under AC, you're wonderful. He says, I had to go there, right? And he's sick and all of that. And then imagine, he says, you have to go and sit with the tribal leader. And he presents you food. And he gives you a drink, right? Water. And he says the water was so polluted. It was brown, right? And he said, you can't say no. You will insult him. So you had just close your nose and just drink it. And then the food, right? It's not a type of food that's comfortable with. But subhanAllah, he endured that. So he left a comfortable life for what we hope and we pray is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah have rahmah on him. So that's what da'wah is. Da'wah is sacrifice. So these are beautiful stories, right? Beautiful stories. But these beautiful stories don't come without a sacrifice that comes with them. So da'wah is sacrifice. Da'wah is hardship. Da'wah is your feelings being hurt. And then overcoming that. And asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for assistance. So, if you want to start giving da'wah, find your path. Institutional da'wah with an organization or building something, alhamdulillah. Individual da'wah, maybe Allah will bless that for you. There's a space. 5 minutes? So I'll finish the last parts about the caller, inshallah, and then we'll start for the salah. Creativity and ability. Discover your own ability. If you want to be a da'iyah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, discover what your ability is. Discover what your passion is. What do you like to do? What are your skills?